Honey Rabbit by Margot Hopkins. "What a fine day," said Father Rabbit one warm sunny morning. "Spring is here." "Daddy, what is spring?" asked Honey Rabbit. "Why, spring is all around you," said Father Rabbit. "Go and look in the meadow. You will see for yourself." Honey Rabbit hopped over to a field of wildflowers where some mice were scurrying about. "Hello, mice," said Honey Rabbit. "Can you tell me what spring is?" "Spring is when the flowers grow," said a small brown mouse, "and we can look for berries to eat." Honey Rabbit stopped at the pond. "What is spring?" he asked a turtle. "Spring is when the air is warm," said the turtle, "and I can sit all day in the sun." "Oh, no," said a fish. "Spring is when the water is warm, and I can swim all day in the sun." Then Honey Rabbit saw a blue jay. "What is spring?" he asked. "Spring is when the trees grow new green leaves," said the blue jay, "and I build my nest." "Oh, no," said a robin. "Spring is when the ground is soft, and I dig for worms." "Hello, squirrel," said Honey Rabbit. "Can you tell me what spring is?" "Spring is when there are new babies in the meadow," she said proudly. Honey Rabbit was still not sure what spring was, so he hopped home. "Daddy, tell me what spring is," he said. "Is it flowers growing, or warm air, or warm water, or green leaves, or soft ground, or new babies in the meadow?" "Spring is all those things," said Father Rabbit. "What a smart little rabbit you are." And he gave Honey Rabbit a great big hug in the warm spring sun. My Goodnight Book by Eloise Wilkin. When Mommy says it's time for bed, I go upstairs and get myself undressed. Mommy runs my bath and helps me scrub my face and hands and all the rest of me. I put on fresh pajamas, then I brush my teeth until they are nice and clean. Daddy reads me a bedtime story. He lets me turn the pages for him. Just before I climb into bed, I kneel and say my prayers. Mommy tucks me in and kisses me and turns out the light. And then we say goodnight. The Fuzzy Duckling by Jane Werner Watson. Early one bright morning, a small fuzzy duckling went for a walk. He walked through the sunshine. He walked through the shade. In the long striped shadows that the cattails made, he met two frisky colts. "Hello," said the duckling. "Will you come for a walk with me?" But the two frisky colts would not. So on went the little duckling, on over the hill. There he found three spotted calves, all resting in the shade. "Hello," said the duckling. "Will you come for a walk with me?" But the sleepy calves would not, so on went the duckling. He met 4 noisy turkeys and 5 white geese and 6 lively lambs with thick, soft fleece. But no one would come for a walk with the fuzzy duckling, so on he went, all by his lone. He met 7 playful puppies and 8 hungry pigs. "Won't you come for a walk with me?" asked the fuzzy duckling. "You had better walk straight home," said the pigs. "Don't you know it's supper time?" "Oh," said the duckling, "thank you." And he turned around to start for home. But which way was home? Poor little duckling, he walked this way and that, but he couldn't find the right path. Just as he began to feel quite unhappy, he heard a sound in the rushes nearby, and out waddled 9 fuzzy ducklings with their big mother duck. "At last," said the mother duck, "here is our lost baby duckling." "Get in line," called the other ducklings. "We're going home for supper." So the lost little duckling joined the line, and away went the 10 little ducklings, home for supper. "This is the best way to go for a walk," said that happy little fuzzy little duck. The end. The Country Mouse and the City Mouse, retold by Alan Benjamin. A city mouse was once invited to visit a friend who lived in the country. She had always been curious about country life, so she packed a little bag and went merrily on her way. She found the air fresh and sweet, and the woods and meadows beautiful, carpeted as they were with wild flowers and filled with bird song. "This country life is rather pleasant," she thought. But when she sat down to dinner that evening, she found only some nuts and berries and a few stalks of wheat on her plate. "How boring," she moaned to herself, already beginning to feel homesick. She picked at her food, eating just enough so that her friend's feelings would not be hurt. After dinner, the two went for a walk in the woods. The city mouse told her friend all about her wonderful life in town, about the fine house in which she lived, and all the delicious food she enjoyed there. The country mouse was all ears. It was late when they returned home, and the two settled down for the night. The city mouse had a lot of trouble falling asleep. She was not at all used to the country's night sounds, hooting owls, croaking frogs, and buzzing bugs. The country mouse, on the other hand, was peacefully dreaming of all the things her friend had told her about life in the city. At breakfast the next morning, the city mouse found some nuts and berries and a few stalks of wheat on her plate. "Not again," she muttered to herself. "I've had just about enough of this country life." "How about coming to the city with me for a few days?" the city mouse asked her friend. "I'd love to," the country mouse replied, and they were soon on their way. When they arrived at the house in which the city mouse lived, they found the remains of a wonderful dinner on the dining room table. There was roast chicken with all the fixings, a beautiful crumb cake, and a platter of the most delectable cheeses. The country mouse could hardly believe her eyes. The country mouse had just begun to nibble on a great slab of Swiss cheese when there was a sudden scratching, then a meowing, meow, then a great orange blur, as the house cat charged into the dining room. The two mice raced for shelter under the legs of the tall china cupboard. They stood very still, barely breathing. After what seemed like hours, the cat finally left. "Just part of the excitement of city life," said the city mouse with a toss of her whiskers, and the two returned to their interrupted dinner. The country mouse, still a bit shaken, helped herself to a tasty morsel of crumb cake. Wham! Bam! In marched the boy of the house, followed by a great shaggy dog. The two mice fled again, hiding this time in 2 china mugs. The boy and his dog left as quickly as they'd come, and the house was soon quiet once more. The country mouse quickly fetched her belongings and spoke to her friend. "My dear, your house is grand indeed, and the food is truly marvelous, but I really prefer the quiet, simple life of the country." The two friends said their farewells and promised to visit each other again someday. And perhaps they will. The end.